It's my feel-good breakfast show.
Welcome back to it. Your feel-good breakfast show with just a couple of minutes left before we wrap it up. We're still talking relationships on this beautiful Monday morning, and it's been so wonderful to see all of your interaction and engagement coming through. So many people interested in this topic, and we're asking, how do you resolve or even manage conflicts in your relationships? And we welcome back clinical psychologist Asha Dulab to unpack more of this topic. So please do continue to weigh in and maybe give us a call as well, 021 110 5552. Asha, I love this chat.
Me too.
We're loving this chat.
And it's so important because I also feel like, you get some couples that bicker a lot, but then they bicker about small things like the rice was burnt, or what are we going to have for dinner, and it's always my decision. But should we be taking notice of the types of things we bicker/argue about? Like, is it the bigger things, or is the small things okay? Where should we gauge, like, this is now reaching red flag territory?
I think that, it's the small things that do matter, actually, that create the bigger arguments. It becomes quite late. And I think if we look at the themes of what couples fight about, the major themes are finances, children, in-laws, intimacy, and our stuff that comes up from trauma, our fear of being abandoned, our fear of being rejection. So those are the main themes, and it's all about... it's all rooted in fear. And the reality is that we all are just searching to connect. So we are trying to find a connection, and sometimes we do it via a means of a conflict or a disagreement with our friends or our partners or our family members. It all plays out very similarly.
Okay.
I've got a very interesting question to ask you, which we will do. It's got to do with, is there such a thing as too much conflict that might even lead you to, sort of just part ways? But in the meantime, we've got Anonymous on the line who I'm sure has a fantastic question to ask. Anonymous, good morning. Thanks for calling.
Good morning. This is Anonymous from Wheaton. We've been married for 50 years. And if you think that there's conflict only when you are young, think again. The difference is that you look at it from a more adult perspective. And don't argue about children. The children are grown up, let them go. They have their own lives to live. And COVID is a big thing because we are both fearful of COVID. So it's who's going to the shop. You've been to the shop yesterday. You want to go to the shop again today. And all you want to say is, you know what, just shut up and leave those headache tablets or whatever. And Jamie, I like your comment about stool stepper. I married a stool stepper. I've also become a stool stepper. Eventually you'll learn to know each other. Walk away. It's not worth getting a heart attack over. Tomorrow's another day. Thank you.
I love that.
And then also don't forget about the 6th. It is important.
Love it.
And
love it.
never mind if you are 50 or 80. It's free. It costs nothing.
Oh,
Get on with the job.
beautiful.
Bye.
Thank you very, very much, Anonymous in Wetton. That is some really, some golden gems there, and some crisp advice, words of advice there, right? Because it's about measuring when it's important, when it matters. Sometimes you know when it's not worth really getting a heart attack over.
You always have to pick your battles.
That's it.
Sure. And I think once we get to a point where we have sort of, worked through the disagreement, it sort of doesn't bother us anymore, and we get on to the next thing. But there will always be something that comes up, and it's about asking the question, what makes me happy? And really investing in the energy of passion in the sense of every aspect of our life. What are we passionate about? And really living life to the fullest in that regard.
Sometimes, though, it does get to a point where you can't pick your battles because there are just way too many battles and way too much conflict. Is that even a thing? Too much conflict that might even lead you to the point where you've reached your threshold, it's time to call it quits.
Absolutely. We want to be happy, so if we are finding that predominantly we are fighting and disagreeing with each other rather than just having moments of bliss and happiness, then we need to really look at our relationship,
Yeah.
because we are all about connecting and all about relationships, and we want to be happy.
Yeah.
So it's again just being aware and asking yourself, why are you in this relationship if there's more conflict versus moments of positivity? It's that ratio of 5 to 1. You know, the theorist Dr. Godman speaks about having 5 positive interactions compared to the 1 negative. And that's what we need to sort of work towards. The atmosphere in the home needs to be happy.
It does. It does. And do you also feel like, in terms of advice for couples that find themselves constantly arguing over the same thing, they're going in circles, and the issue they are arguing about is not changing. What do they do in a moment like that? How do they now break that cycle?
So it's really quite a holistic approach that one needs. You know, firstly, we need respect for each other. We need to be able to forgive and ask for forgiveness. We need to offer deep listening to whoever we're having a disagreement with deep affection, which is deep care. We need to appreciate each other for our uniquenesses and our differences. And we all are very different. And of course, accept to agree that there will be times that we have to agree to disagree. But when there's repetitive arguments or disagreements, there's time to perhaps seek some outside help.
And that's the thing, is that there is always help. I know that during this time, a lot of relationships have taken strain, Asha, and people often feel that they have nowhere to turn to. You've been doing fantastic work. Quickly before we let you go, you've been doing a lot of counseling online during this time, because people often find, well, can I even go see a therapist during this time?
Yes.
Let's talk about that. How are you doing that now?
Absolutely. So I do predominantly online work via Zoom or Skype. And yeah, so anyone can reach me anywhere in the world and we can have a session.
Awesome, amazing. Well, thank you so much for being part of this conversation. And although attachment behaviors and conflict styles are deeply ingrained in habits, these can be changed with effort and dedication. The first step is becoming self-aware of your personal conflict style and the attachment behaviors that drives them. Now, if you would like to seek professional help in this or any other areas in your life, and you are, facing some difficulty, then you can reach out to Asha Dulab, who is, of course, our relationship expert on the show, and email her at info@ashadulab.com.